What up, Street Dogs? Eric Kim. So, I want to share with you something about practice. Practice. And it's inspired by my best friend, Allen Iverson. Y'all remember him, right? And I watched his documentary on Netflix like maybe a few months back, and I actually really like him a lot because how did he get so good? Practice, right? Just practicing. And then, the saying practice makes perfect. It's actually a pretty good saying. I think it's just like maybe a more accurate thing is, if you keep practicing something on a daily basis, you cannot get worse at it. It's the only way is up. So I like that. The only way is up. But anyways, so, with powerlifting, with writing, with blogging, vlogging, social skills, anything you can improve and everything you can improve through practice. Now, the problem is a lot of people compete against other people. So you might never be as good as person X, Y, or Z, but it don't matter because you're practicing it for yourself, you're competing against yourself, and you are your own personal measure of success. And once again, in some ways, I think it's good to be creatively isolated and to be in a bit of a bubble where you are your end product and you are your end goal. So even consider, right? Let's say you're in a spaceship, you're the only person on board, and how could you keep yourself entertained without going crazy essentially is interesting. So for even for me, right? Let's say I actually quite like the movie, was it Passengers, right? Like the dude who wakes up and then, everyone's sleeping. I'm like, if I was in that situation, I would still lift weights. I would still power lift. I'll still listen to music, make beats because for me, it's just kind of fun. And it's, I almost treat myself like I've kind of disconnected myself from my ego in the sense that whenever I see myself, I'm almost like, that's not me. Even every once in a while, I look in the mirror, I'm like, whoa, I'm Asian. Or this is what the world thinks about me. Or even nowadays when I flex or I look at my muscles or my abs, whatever, I almost feel like I'm looking at a different person. And I think that's kind of cool because it allows me to be into myself with a good conscience. It's almost like as if I'm admiring somebody else. So anyways, taking it back to practice. If you believe that anything and everything could be improved through practice, the ultimate question is, how much do I care? Because you don't want to practice stuff that you don't care about, right? So you're a kid and your parents trying to I'm studying math or whatever, and you're like, I don't want to, right? And it's because we don't care. Like when I was a kid, I didn't really care to be super good at stuff like that. And actually the irony is sometimes when parents try to force you to do something, you want to do it less. So in some ways, I think the best way to be parent is good. Just make sure your kids don't die, get addicted to math or whatever, and just kind of leave them alone. But at the same time, you don't want to just give them an iPad and just let them bug out. Take them outdoors, let them be active, let them make stuff. Even so for me, I ain't never gonna let my kid, get addicted to technologies and stupid shit because I kind of understand what it does to the human mind in a very bad way. And there's also a reason why all the Silicon Valley elites send their kids to schools that have zero tech, right? They're onto something. Even Steve Jobs, right? He didn't give his kid iPads. So obviously that skin in the game situation, you just kind of ask yourself, people say one thing and market one thing, but if you actually look at their own activities and look at the way they treat their own family, that speaks a trillion words. But anyways, so continue to think about ourselves and our own lives. The only way is up. If you keep practicing, you're just gonna keep going up, and there's even no such thing as a plateau because there's no perfectly straight nothing in life. Everything is just if you keep practicing for the rest of your life until you die at age 120, my thought is, in the long term, it's going to be a very steady, slow slope upwards. And it might even be 0.0001% improvement over time. And that's good too. And there's actually, it's this kind of cool too with weightlifting or powerlifting, whatever. There's a dude like, as he kept getting older, he kept the same weight, and then people are like, oh, aren't you disappointed that like you can't increase your weight? He's like, yo, I'm becoming older. Technically, as I'm older and I could still maintain the same weight, I'm becoming stronger because as your body gets older, generally our bodies tend to weaken. So I'm like, yo, that's a kind of a cool idea too, is that like, even maintenance, it's not really maintenance, it's continual improvement and continual growth and strengthening. So a thought from my friend Nietzsche, all which is good is strength and strengthening, all which is bad is weakening. And let's not think about other people too much, let's just think about ourselves. Continue to think about ways you can continue to strengthen yourself, avoid things that weaken you, and just become the dopest you as possible.